right. So today we're going to be analyzing three tickers. I got a question. I asked some people if they wanted me to analyze any tickers. They gave me three of them. So I haven't even really looked at this chart yet. So let's just check it out. This is going to be IWM. Okay. This is actually going to pertain to some of the market right now. We just had like an insane rally, right? So we're basically looking, is it going to end? Is it going to continue? Stuff like that. And I believe that volume precedes price. So we're going to see what the volume is saying first before we look at the price action, okay? So as of now, volume's pretty good. We've got increasing amount of volume here. That's nice. So what happens to the price when we have increasing amount of volume here? Well, let me get my my tool here. If we can make a kind of a curve, right? Volume comes in, and that's what it takes, right? We absorb the sellers, we're getting plenty of buyers, and it's lifting the stock up, if you can see that. So volume is the key here. We had volume come in at these prices, and essentially we're actually getting a lot more volume as well here at the top, and specifically here at these bottoms, right? At these bottoms here, you can see we have these kind of peaks going on. These little peaks here. These all tell us stuff, right? These peaks are different from than if we just had the average amount of volume here. You see, if we had the average amount of volume, we'd see more of a smoothing. And actually, let me add that here. I'll add a 50 moving average, right, on the volume. Yeah, it's kind of smoothing, right? But overall, it is increasing, right? The volume is picking up, and that's what's making it turn around. That's what's turning this equity around. So that's great. We can actually expect, especially if we do like some kind of trend, right? A trend line, or if you do a channel, even a channel can also be good. Something like this, we can expect that this is the pullback, obviously, right? And when we see high volume like this over here on this candle here, when we see high volume here with these kind of wicks, that tells us stuff. Okay, so let's look at that right now, and I want to verify if this is just a pullback or this is a start for maybe a distribution move, or we're going to be seeing the pullback and then a break, continue lower. So let's analyze that real quick. I'm just going to get a lot of the junk off my chart right now. We're going to look at it now just off of that. So let's even get rid of the 50. Okay, so if we have a lot of volume coming in like this, okay, on these peaks here, we have a gap up, and then we have volume coming in, and then price reacts later by coming down like this. That's rather concerning. So we have to think here, okay, there is a short seller here, or there's just a imbalance of supply and demand, right? There's more supply than demand. That's the whole reason why we had this wick and we had prices marked down. So we can say probably this entire area here, right? And this entire area here right now, we have more supply than demand. And in fact, we had a nice break from here. Look at this break here, right? This break was actually the break of this nice support zone here, right? So that tells me a lot. That tells me that we finally are really retesting this this support zone, which is now turned into resistance, and we've got a lot of volume coming in that has now caused prices to come back down, right? So where's the big factor? That's what we all want to know. Do I need to short it now, or is this dump over, or it's not even a dump, right? Is this pullback over? Should I start shorting now? Well, I'm going to say, number one, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't know your specific finances. I have no clue, what you should be trading, what you should be investing in. So all of this is just purely analysis that I'm enjoying doing, right? This is not a call out. This is not an alert, okay? And I don't have any degrees in anything. I'm not a financial advisor, okay? So this is just purely entertainment analysis. So let's just look at this. Let's see what I think about this this trade here, okay? Probably we might go down and fill some of this gap, right? We could fill some of this gap here. I think that's possible, right? But I want to know where we could flush. And to flush, we need to see buyers being convinced it's no longer going higher for a significant time period, right? Just like how we had this break here. Remember when I said this break, right? This break here. This break is significant because these buyers here, if this was just a sweep of liquidity and we were just going to sweep it and come back up, essentially you wouldn't see crazy candles like this, okay? Like this candle in particularly right here, that's a very bearish candle. There's almost no rejections there, right? And following that day, because sometimes you can have that candle and next day it'll just pop right back up and engulf that candle and almost be like an order block if we're using ICT terms, right? But following that day, we had gap down and another pretty bearish candle. So that's how we differentiate, or that's how we determine if it's a sweep or if it's a break. Okay, we need to see aggressiveness. If there's aggressiveness, guys, on a break like this, crazy candles, you in fact even see, look, you even see volume. Oh, is this? Well, still, that's another scenario, but you even see volume picking up, increasing like this to the downside. That's interesting, right? That no longer tells me that this is sweep, because a sweep is basically going back down to that level and more buyers are essentially reloading their position, or there could be retail investors or retail traders that put their stop losses there, and if the buyers want to buy more of their position, they need sellers there. So a lot of times the buyers will wait for the price to get back down there, sweep those retail, and then come back up. In this scenario here, right, that's not the case. So if we bring that back to what we were talking about over here, a sweep versus a break, where would that be, right? Where is that place where we can say for sure we're going to see flush? Because here, this is a sweep in my opinion. There was no break back above this level. This is definitely a sweep. So we're sweeping this area here, trying to get some more liquidity, coming back down. So honestly, if you want my real opinion, if we see the kind of average volume over time, we have kind of an increase here, and then it almost drops off as we go up, right? Almost drops off. I would for sure say this peak, or sorry, this low here, this low particularly. Okay, so a lot of things can happen before then, right? A lot of things can happen. Essentially, even if we look at like the NASDAQ, for example, that's a low that's far away. So we absolutely want to see defense of this zone for sure. No question about it. There needs to be defense. If this fails and we see a break, it's bedtime. It's bedtime for the market, right? It's going to get tucked in. It's going to get smoked. But that's a little too far apart. So probably this low here. This is a pretty good low here, right? Where we can say, yes, there's some buying here, but if we sweep this area and we see a break, then we might go down into this low as well. But essentially, I want to say this gap, essentially for right now, right? This gap is more or less important, right? We want this gap to hold. We don't want to see everybody that was trying to get in very quickly here and pushing this thing up. We don't want to see this gap fail. Okay, if this gap fails and we start to see push, push, push back down, essentially sweeping these lows, or not even sweeping, but breaking those lows, and maybe even breaking this low. If we break both those lows, guys, it's over. I mean, market's headed much lower, like obviously, but in my case here, that's the scenario, right? So a lot of people could say, they could say, oh, I just let's watch this low. If we get lower than this low, then market's gonna go lower. That lower. So remember what I'm saying. If we're sweeping and we're breaking, that's different, right? If it's just a sweep, it's just a sweep. They're accumulating more buys, right? That's not concern. In fact, I would actually go long here, right? But a break is an effective flip and bias. 100%. We had longs here. I'll show you here. Hold on. We had longs in this area here. People were wanting to buy here. All of a sudden, for some reason, fair value changes. And now everybody here that wanted to go long, they sold their position, and instead of just selling, they also went short, right? Or they're waiting for much lower prices because fair value changed. Makes sense. So let me get rid of that. This is really an important level here. Okay. And for us to not break this level here is concerning. So in reality right now, I'm going to say I'm short bias, right? Because for us to actually sweep this area, instead of having momentum to push up, after we get this break, we get this initial break, right? And now we're coming up and we're sweeping this area, getting more liquid. That's concerning for more downside, right? So yes, this could be an accumulation range here in this entire range, right? This could all be accumulation here, especially that's what the volume says. So I'm not very convinced that we move much lower than these lows. I'm not very convinced on that, but I will say this is concerning. Also, if we break this gap, that's concerning. Essentially, if we break these lows, that's concerning, right? If we see aggressiveness from these buyers here, right, to get out and go short, that's probably an indication that this low is probably not going to hold up, right? So as of now, I'd probably be short to fill this gap and at least get down into this this low here. Fairly, like I said, fairly convinced that we're not gonna break these lows. I'm fairly convinced that these lows aren't gonna break just because of the amount of capitulation we've seen here, and the kind of volume that came in for buys here. I don't think this is gonna break right now. If anything, we need to make more swing lows here, and then over time, after we come back up and we get more momentum and come back down, that's and break that lower. So right now, the short it's a good play, right? Because we're here at a level, but really this is range city. If you want to know, right? We get the short down into a key level. That's it. I'd take that money. That's really all we can do. So let's look at the next ticker. And that kind of goes for other markets as well. Like even if we look at NASDAQ, right? This range here, I mean, look, we've got sellers here, and we've got more or less buyers here. Same thing with the capitulation, actually. When this was coming down here, we saw the increase of volume as we were coming down here and absorbing these buyers here, or these sellers here, to get a better buy position. And now the same thing is happening up here as well. See how we're sweeping these highs, and absorbing those to get a better sell position. Guys, this is range. And to be honest, that's weird, right? We're getting all these news events like, oh, we got war and the data's coming out with the Fed. It's weird that we're ranging, but it makes sense to me that a big move is getting built up, right? And let's be honest, if it's the S&P 500, the Nasdaq, etc., all these indices, it's probably going to be a move back up. I mean, if these are we're trying to bet against America, right? But that being said, we haven't really seen any kind of legitimate downside correction like this. Like if we're looking at something like this, any legit, well, I mean, actually that one's pretty good, right? This one over here is pretty good. So maybe we test these lows again, but I'm more or less convinced that this is range and we'll hang out for a little bit and continue higher. So that being said on that, let's look at the next one. Oxy. We got Oxy. Okay, very good. Warren Buffett stock. Good deal. Okay, so first odds, I'm going to look at the volume, right, always. I like these areas here. I really like these areas here. We can see the increasing volume here on this break, right? This was a break of these sellers here that were trying to accumulate for a more sell position. Fair value changed, so they got out of their position, and the fair value changed. So really that's interesting. We have this is a great area here. Fair value definitely changed, and we exploded through this area here. So yeah, this is great volume here at these prices, so I'm more or less weighted on the side that we don't go back to these prices. We would really have to fail this fair value here, right? This would really have to get tested and fail big time, and maybe that's not the case. I really don't think so. I mean, especially when you see volume increasing like this, and look at the. I want to point something out. Look at this big high volume bar here on this candle, right? This candle here, and we actually get above it. We break above these candles, so it's not very interesting for selling, to be honest. That tells me more that this candle was majority buying, right? And it's pretty obvious. We can see the relation from the wick to the body. That's pretty obvious, majority buying. And as we come higher here, we got decreasing volume here, and that is as we come up here. So yeah, some sweepy action going on. Sellers trying to absorb more liquidity for downside up here, but really this change in fair value here, this break and squeezing all these sellers. Look, guys, like I said, when you see breaks like this, sellers aren't just covering for no reason. Like, you think they're just gonna cover and be like, oh, I'll just get in later? No, they're covering because they don't believe they're right anymore. They don't believe they're correct. They believe that something changed, something happened, they are wrong. That's why they are covering, right? So this was an absolute change in fair value. Whatever happened to this company, big change, right? So although we are ranging and we're seeing sweeps of liquidity up here for sellers, I would like to test this. I would like to test this fair value, even possibly get some liquidity from down here on buy side here, or actually yeah, that's buy side. Yeah, that's buy side. Actually, I'm on buy side here, and and move higher from there, and essentially take out these highs and really get a break above and start trying these highs again for sure. I think that makes much more sense to me than we're accumulating sells up here. We're gonna break lower because that fair value change was not in the question over here, right? That wasn't even considered to be in the question. In fact, we never even saw. In fact, I mean, if you look at all these sellers here, that's pressure. That's a lot of pressure here. That's absorbing the buyers coming down. So all these guys got how do you say, squeezed out, right? They all got squeezed out. So yeah, huge level here. I don't expect this to, and this is on the monthly chart. If we were going on the daily, that's a different story. We could talk about that in just a bit. But I'm looking at the overall, right? Higher time frame. I don't think Oxy is done for at all. Let me get rid of a lot of these things, and we're gonna go down to the daily right now. And think if you were trying to trade this, right? What kind of trades you could take? Obviously, we're in the range, so we're looking to buy as low as possible, sell as high as possible, right? Until we see those shorts squeezing out and getting in on the retest maybe, or getting in for the break. Right now, this is would 100% be a range play. There's no reason to short this near support or buy this near resistance. If in fact we don't see fair value changing, fair value has not changed yet, guys. It has not changed, right? Because that's why we see these ranges, right? On smaller time frames, of course, fair value is always going to change on lower scale, but those are minuscule compared to the larger overall bird's eye view of what's happening. So, like I said, play the range. So absolutely, probably buy anywhere in that fair value change. If we go back to the monthly, buy anywhere in this change here in fair value, and that should be a good buy to ride back up to the highs, sell near the highs here, and come back down. And it seems like we're getting some kind of placebo here because people are selling at the highs and et cetera, et cetera. And actually, this is interesting. We're getting, if we look at these, if we look at this here, if we look at this sweep, right? If we swept these highs here, that tells me that sellers were interested in pushing this lower, right? They're reloading their shorts because otherwise, if sellers believed that this was going higher from their entry here, they would have squeezed out and re-entered at these highs here. But right now, sellers believe this is going lower. That's why they re-entered their shorts. So yeah, I'd be patient for longs, especially when you see something like this in the monthly. I think being patient right now is definitely going to work out. Really, anywhere in this fair value, right? Anywhere here, this seems like a good deal. Now, if you're going to make a risk to reward trade instead of like a swing or an investment, really, I try and narrow it down to here. Really, because if we break this low, if we break this low here, that's a different story. Because buyers from this low here are not wanting to get squeezed out. In fact, if we break this low and we're seeing breakage, like pressure, aggressiveness to the downside, fair value definitely has changed. This thing is definitely going lower. But in the case we break this low and it's pretty slow, you're seeing some absorption, volumes coming in, buying volumes coming in and holding this thing up. Yeah, absolutely. This is a great trade, great swing back up. So the daily more or less isn't interesting, right? Since we have that higher time frame view. I mean, you can do channel trades here. You can take something like that and get small pullbacks in this overall. But overall, right, it looks like sellers are reloading to get the push lower. So as of right now, I would try and stick with with trades that match your higher time frame bias. That's something that I've been doing recently. Like if I have a monthly bias that's like I said over here, it's short into support, I'm not going to go long until we at least give me confirmation that the shorts have uh, capitulated. They have covered their shorts near support. Or I'm also not going to go long until we see some sweepage of those lows in support here, and we see some more accumulation of more buying into those support levels. So as of right now, yeah, if I was day trading, swing trading, hourly trading, I mean, definitely I would be short bias until we got some confirmation that shorts were covering, and that's just not the case right now. You see how we get high volume here on these candles up here. That's a big spike in volume, and then the market makers push the stock lower here. Okay, especially on something like this kind of volume. That's breakage. You can see that's a break, fair value change there. We broke, came back up. We're retesting this, so nothing right now says sellers are getting squeezed out, sellers are interested in capitulating, especially we're seeing the volume here like this. There's no real pickup, right? It's actually more of a down slope, really. So that doesn't tell me much for capitulation. And in fact, if we see here, this is another interesting point. We're seeing increase of volume here, and as the volume increases, we go over here, we get a curve. As the can we do it? Yeah, there we go. As the volume increases, you see how we get that. That's the power, the push to force this thing back down, right? So volume came in this equity, and we're pushing the stock lower, right? So essentially, if we're gonna go long, we want to see two things, right? Capitulation or sweeping of the lows, and that should tell me that sellers were just. If we're seeing the sweep with no capitulation, that usually tells me that the sellers were trying to stay hidden. Sometimes they can, over time, sell little, and it's very hidden, right? So you definitely want to be on the watch that not all the times you're gonna see signs of capitulation in the market. Sometimes it will look like essentially this here. Well, you have the increasing amount of volume here, and the stock is just turning around. It could look like the same thing, where you have the stock turning around here, and then you have an increased amount of volume, right? And that should tell you there should be some capitulation for shorts. But right now, it does not look like it, so I would be taking shorts on Oxy until we see that. So let's see what else is PANW. Okay, that's another ticker here. Let's look at PANW. Palo Alto, okay. Let's go to the monthly. Wow, very good. Very good. This looks like a strong company. We can see multiple times that fair value changes, right? Fair value keeps changing. Fair value keeps changing. Fair value keeps changing. So this looks like a very strong company, right? Whenever you see fair value changing like this, consistently, right? Consistently changing like this, we might can match this up with earnings. We might can match this up with news events, development in a company, whatever it is. We know that fair value is consistently changing. The only thing is, when is our sellers gonna step in? Sometimes they don't. On stuff like Apple, on stuff like Tesla, companies that are consistently wanting participants like me and you that are we're seeing consistent growth in the company. Why would I want to sell? This is an investment, and if we're looking on lower time frames to trade, that's a different story. So maybe we could get to a place where it's overvalued, but let's check it out, right? So right now, just from looking at it, we can see that this could possibly be a very good company to invest in, quite possibly, because we see the nice changes in fair value. We keep getting these bumps, these breaks, shorts cover. We see shorts come in, shorts cover. We see more shorts come in, shorts cover, right? So this is great. And they're not only covering, the shorts are covering and going long, right? That's how we see this intense squeeze, intense push, right? So that's fantastic. So let's look here. Just overall, we can see decreasing volume in the pullback. So that's great. We have increasing volume here. And what happens as volume increases? We move higher. So as of right now, this there's no indication on higher time frame that there is, you know, capitulation for longs. If that's a I don't know if capitulation is a good word for longs, but selling for long, we don't see any scariness. And for investors, they're saying, oh, you know, that earnings report was bad. Let's this and that. You know, we might get these little wicks here or stuff like that back into fair value and test the fair value. But guys, as you can see, it holds every time. There's no real concern here. So this is interesting. I haven't looked at the actual finance. I've honestly never even heard of this company. I just got the ticker to analyze. So as of right now, I'm not seeing anything bad. Right, this looks great. So some people might say, oh, when it looks great, that's the time to short. Well, maybe, but as of right now, even the volume, guys, and I believe volume comes first. So if volume's not saying it, this is on the monthly, right? So we're gonna go lower here in just a minute. So, but if volume's not saying it to me, um, I don't care. You know, I don't care what anybody's saying. Where, oh, this is the time to sell. Volume's not saying it. I don't think so. You know, so right now we are just getting a sharp decrease in volume, but as we can see here, we are just sweeping, right? We're just absorbing liquidity, right? Ups and downs, highs and lows to get the possible move for another push, or possibly to test this fair value move again. That's possible. Um, Essentially, these highs are pretty good here, but um, I'm I'm kind of convinced that we follow trend here, especially, you know, follow some kind of uptrend here. I'm fairly convinced, especially if the volume is not saying really of a lot of capitulation. That looks good on the monthly. So this is definitely an investment to me. To see a stock like this, I mean, it's fantastic. And look, when you see stuff like this, guys, when you see stuff like this, long drawn out consolidations like this, guys, that's inside money. That is inside money that is realizing value and purposely FOMOing, or not FOMOing, but um, inducing fear, trying to get as many people to sell or short this stock or all this stuff so they can buy it right up. They can buy it all up and get the move, right? So whenever you see stuff like that, guys, we're holding highs. I mean, we're not really pushing fair value. We're not testing fair value, guys. That's very interesting, very very interesting. You know what I'm saying? So that's something to keep an eye on. But that again is the monthly. If we were trying to trade this, let's go on the daily and see what is going on here. So yeah, definitely have some kind of maybe channel here, right? Channel action going on. See what the volume's saying. Got a nice peak in volume here, and looks like those guys got taken out there. Or you know what? No, that was that's a good indication of distribution right there, because I don't actually think those guys get taken out. If you look at what happened here, we saw the volume come in. We're going a little bit higher, but there's no real breakage slash fair change in fair value, right? Especially when we those sellers came in there. I don't believe that those sellers got squeezed out there. I essentially believe that this was more shorting opportunity. Yeah, same thing with here. This was a very big. This was actually a change in fair value here. I believe that we saw that was a break. Yeah, and then we see some capitulation here. So let's say if we mark this whole area here as an area where demand outweighs supply, which actually makes sense because we do have a change in fair value here. we're in a sense closer to here than there. Also in the low end of the channel, we had pretty high volume at the peak here, and when we dropped, that was a big gap down. We have a lot of volume today, or yeah, this is today, today, and big rejections here. So yeah, this honestly looks good for possibly accumulating longs. That's if we're going on a daily chart. Maybe some long-winded options would be cool. Some farther out options contracts to the upside would be cool. Really think that we could play this gap here. That's definitely a possibility. We could try and get the push from these highs into this gap. I can definitely see that, where the shorts that were shorting here get squeezed out and are no longer playing the gap. They cover and in fact go long, and we retest up here. That is probably the play right now on that. But the only question is, do we come back down and retest this kind of demand area where demand outweighs supply in fair value, as well as trying to kind of touching this channel here? Possibly, but this volume says a lot. I'm not sure if I would particularly wait to get in. I might have started with half position here, and in the case that we break these highs and we're seeing aggressiveness, we're seeing sellers start covering, I'd probably add more, right? Or another case, I would enter half here, I'd do another quarter. If we retest anywhere over here, right? If we get somewhere around here, I'd add another quarter. And then if we break the highs here, I'd do the rest of the position. That sounds pretty solid to me. But yeah, that's it. As you can see, guys, learning how to analyze this stuff with volume and price is pretty interesting. It's pretty significant, and it did not take long for me to analyze. Guys, I almost immediately realized that this was an investment as soon as I saw it. Is it not? I mean, you see something going up this much, and it's an investment, isn't it? A lot of times people see something going up this much. Oh, it's a short. That's exactly what smart money would like you to think, or people that want your money, right? Soon as it looks bad, guess what? It's in the fair value range. That's when it starts to look bad. You see a big red bar, you're like, oh, look, this thing's a perfect short. You get short, and they take your money, right? So interesting, guys. I really like this one. In fact, I'm actually yeah, we can add this one to my watch list here. Add this one here. Yeah, that's fine. Well, I don't know how to do it. I'll figure it out later. But I enjoy this stock very much. I enjoy analyzing stocks and equities and tickers. If you have any stocks, equities, tickers, anything like that you want me to analyze, please leave it down in the comment description or join the Discord. The Discord link is in the description. You can join. And once again, this is not an alert service. I don't offer alerts. I'm not a financial advisor. This is all, viewer discretion is advised. It's all that. I mean, like I said, I don't have degrees. I'm not selling anything. This is just my opinion. I like to do this for fun. I like to meet people who also like to do this for fun, and I have a community of people who like to do this for fun. If you're interested in that community, click the Discord link in the description, join the community, and hang out for a bit. All right. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment. Also subscribe to Dip Snipers. That's our YouTube channel here. We do analysis. We do all kinds of videos. People in the group ask questions. I'm kind of the face of the Discord right now, but we have other professional traders in the Discord as well that sometimes we come on, do podcasts and ticker analysis, stuff like that, you name it. Anyways, have a good day. Talk to you soon.